Hi, this is Jaya. In this video, we shall see the summary of The Rime of the Ancient Mariner by S.T. Coleridge. The Rime of the Ancient Mariner was published in 1798 and it was published in the first edition of Lyrical Ballads. And it is a poem that recounts the experience of a sailor who has returned from a long sea voyage. A mariner stops a man who is on his way to a wedding ceremony, and why he stops him is to share his story. The wedding guest is at first reluctant to listen as the ceremony is about to begin, but the mariner's glittering eye captivates him. The mariner's tale begins with his ship departing on its journey. Initially, the journey was showing good fortune, but the ship was driven south by a storm and eventually reached the icy waters of the Antarctic. An albatross appears and leads the ship out of the ice jam where it is stuck. But even as the albatross is fed and praised by the ship's crew, the mariner shoots the bird. The crew is angry with the mariner, believing the albatross brought the south wind that led them out of the Antarctic. However, the sailors change their minds when the weather becomes warmer and the mist disappears. They soon find that they made a grave mistake in supporting this crime, as it arouses the wrath of spirits who then pursue the ship from the land of mist and snow. The south wind that had initially blown them north now sends the ship into uncharted waters near the equator, where it is becalmed. The sailors change their mind again and blame the mariner for the torment of their thirst. In anger, the crew forces the mariner to wear the dead albatross about his neck, perhaps to illustrate the burden he must suffer for killing it, or perhaps as a sign of regret. After a weary time, the ship encounters the ghostly hulk. On board are Death, a skeleton, and the nightmare Life and Death, a deadly pale women, who are playing dice for the souls of the crew. With the roll of the dice, Death wins the lives of the crew members, and Life and Death the life of the mariner, a prize she considers more valuable. Her name is a clue to the mariner's fate. He will endure a fate worse than death as punishment for his killing of the albatross. One by one, all of the crew members die, but the mariner lives on, seeing for 7 days and nights the curse in the eyes of the crew's corpses, whose last expressions remain upon their faces. Eventually, this stage of the mariner's curse is lifted after he begins to appreciate the many sea creatures swimming in the water. He suddenly sees their true beauty and blesses them. As he manages to pray, the albatross falls from his neck and his guilt is partially expiated. It then starts to rain, and the bodies of the crew, possessed by good spirits, rise again and help steer the ship. In a trance, the mariner hears two spirits discussing his voyage and penance and learns that the ship is being powered supernaturally. Finally, the mariner wakes from his trance and comes in sight of his homeland, but is initially uncertain as to whether or not he is hallucinating. The rotten remains of the ship sink in a whirlpool, leaving only the mariner behind. A hermit on the mainland who has spotted the approaching ship comes to meet it in a boat, rowed by a pilot and his boy. When they pull the mariner from the water, they think he is dead, but when he opens his mouth, the pilot shrieks with fright. The hermit prays and the mariner picks up the oars to row. The pilot's boy laughs, thinking the mariner is the devil. Back on land, the mariner is compelled by a woeful agony to tell the hermit his story. As penance for shooting the albatross, the mariner, driven by the agony of his guilt, is now forced to wander the earth, telling his story over and over and teaching a lesson to those he meets. After finishing his story, the mariner leaves and the wedding guest returns home, waking the next morning a sadder and a wiser man. Now let's read the text. How a ship having passed the line was driven by storms to the cold country towards the South Pole, and how from thence she made her course to the tropical latitude of the great Pacific Ocean, and of the strange things that befell, and in what manner the ancient mariner came back to his own country. Part 1. It is an ancient mariner, and he stoppeth one of three. By thy long grey beard and glittering eye, now wherefore stoppest thou me? The bridegroom's doors are opened wide, and I am next of kin. The guests are met, the feast is set. Mayst hear the merry din. He holds him with a skinny hand. There was a ship, quoth he. Hold off, unhand me, grey beard loon. Eft stones his hand droppeth he holds him with his glittering eye. The wedding guest stood still, and listens like a 3 years child. The mariner hath his will. The wedding guest sat on a stone. He cannot choose but hear, and thus spake on that ancient man, the bright-eyed mariner. The ship was cheered, the harbour cleared, merrily did we drop. Below the kirk, below the hill, below the lighthouse top. The sun came up upon the left, out of the sea came he, and he shone bright, and on the right went down into the sea. Higher and higher every day, till over the mast at noon. The wedding guest here beat his breast, but he heard the loud bassoon. The bride hath paced into the hall, red as a rose is she, nodding their heads before her goes the merry minstrels. The wedding guest he wet his breast, but he cannot hear, choose but hear, and thus spake on the ancient man, the bright-eyed mariner. And now the storm blast came, and he was tyrannous and strong. He struck with his overtaking wings, and chased us south long. With sloping mast and dipping prow, as who pursued with yell and blow, still threads the shadow of his foe, and forward bends his head. The ship drove fast, loud roared the blast, and southward, we fled. And now they came both mist and snow, and it grew wondrous cold, and ice, mast high, came floating by, as green as emerald. And through the drifts the snowy cliffs did send a dismal sheen. Nor shapes of men nor breasts were keen, the ice was all between. The ice was here, the ice was there, the ice was all around. It cracked and rolled and rolled and hobbled, like noises in a swand. At length did across an albatross. Thorough the fog it came. As if it had been a Christian soul, we hailed it in God's name. It ate the food it never had eat, and round it flew. The ice did split with thunder fit. The helmsman steered us through. And a good south wind sprung up between. The albatross did follow. And every day for food or play came to the mariner's hollow. In mist or cold, on mast or shroud, it perched for listeners 9. Whilst all the night through fog smoke white glimmered the white moonshine. God save thee, ancient mariner, from the fiends that plague thee thus. Why lookest thou so? With my crossbow I shot the albatross. Part 2. The sun now rose upon the right, out of the sea came he, still hid in mist, and on the left went down into the sea. And the good south wind still blew behind, but no sweet bird did follow, nor any day for food or play came there to the mariner's hollow. And I had done a hellish thing, and it would work them o'er. For all averred, I had killed the bird that made the breeze to blow. Ah, wretch, said they, the bird is to slay that made the breeze to blow. Nor dim nor red, like God's own head, the glorious sun uprist. Then all averred, I had killed the bird that brought the fog and mist. It was right, said they, such birds to slay that bring the fog and mist. The fair breeze blew, the white foam flew, the furrow followed free. We were the first that ever burst into that silent sea. Down dropped the breeze, the sails dropped down. It was sad as sad could be, and we did speak only to break the silence of the sea. All in a hot and copper sky, the bloody sun at noon, right up above the mast did stand, no bigger than the moon. Day after day, we struck nor breath nor motion, as idle as a painted ship upon a painted ocean. Water, water everywhere, and all the boats did shrink. Water, water everywhere, nor any drop to drink. The very dip did rot, O Christ, that ever this should be. Yea, slimy things did crawl with legs upon the slimy sea. About in reel and rout, the death fires danced at night. The water, like a witch's oils, burnt green and blue and white. And some in dreams assured were of the spirit that plagued us so. 9 fathom deep he had followed us from the land of mist and snow. And every trunk through utter drought was withered at the root. We could not speak, no more than if we had been choked with soot. Ah, well a day, what evil looks had I from old and young. Instead of the cross, the albatross about my neck was hung. Part 3. They passed a weary time. Each throat was parched and glazed each eye. A weary time, how glazed each weary eye. When looking westward, I beheld a something in the sky. At first it seemed a little speck, and then it seemed a mist. It moved and took at last a certain shape I wist. A speck, a mist, a shape I wist, and still it neared and neared. As if it dodged a water sprite, it plunged and tacked and weed. With throats unslacked, with black lips baked, we could nor laugh nor wail, through utter drought all dumb we stood. I bit my arm, I sucked the bed, and cried, a sail, a sail. With throats unslacked, with black lips baked, agape they heard me call. Gramercy, they for joy did grin, and at once they breath drew in. As they were drinking all, see, see, I cried, she tacks no more, hither to work us well. Without a breeze, without a tide, she steadies up upright kneel. The western wave was all aflame, the day was well nigh done. Almost upon the western wave rested the broad bright sun, when the strange shape rose suddenly, bevised us and the sun. And straight the sun was flexed with bars, heaven's mother sent us grace. As if through a dungeon grate he peered, with broad and burning face. Alas, thought I, and my heart beat loud, how far she nears and nears. Are those her sails that glance in the sun, like restless gossameres? Are those her ribs through which the sun did peer as through a grate? And is that woman all her crew? Is that her death? And are they two? Is death that woman's mate? Her lips were red, her looks were free. Her locks were yellow as gold. Her skin was as white as leprosy. The nightmare, life and death was she, who thickens man's blood with cold. The naked hulk alongside came, and the twain were casting dice. The game is done. I have won, quoth she, and whistles thrice. The sun's rim dips, the stars rush out. At one stride comes the dark, with far heard whisper over the sea. Off shot the spectre bark. We listened and looked sideways up. Fear at my heart as at a cup. My life blood seemed to sip. The stars were dim and thick the night. The steersman's face by his lamp gleamed white. From the sails the dew did drip, till clomb above the eastern bar. The horned moon with one bright star within the near the tip. One after one by the star-dodged moon, too quick for groan or sigh. Each turned his face with a ghastly pang and cursed me with his eye. 4 times 50 living men, and I heard nor sign nor groan. With heavy thump, a lifeless lump, they dropped down one by one. The souls did from their bodies fly, they fled to bliss or woe, and every soul it passed me by like the whiz of my crossbow. Part 4. I fear thee, ancient mariner, I fear thy skinny hand, and thou art long and lank and brown, as if thus ribbed sea sand. I fear thee and thy glittering eye, and thy skinny hand so brown. Fear not, thou wedding guest, his body dropped not down. Alone, alone, all alone, alone on a wide, wide sea. And never a saint took pity on my soul in agony. The many men so beautiful, and they all died, dead did lie. And 1,000 slimy things lived on, and so did I. I looked upon the rotting sea, and drew my eyes away. I looked upon the rotting deck, and there the dead men lay. I looked to heaven and tried to pray, but or ever a prayer had gusheth. A wicked whisper came and made my heart as dry as dust. I closed my lids and kept them close, and the balls like pulses beat. For the sky and the sea and the sea and the sky lay dead like a load on my weary eye, and the dead were at my feet. The cold sweat melted from their limbs, nor rot nor reek did they. The look with which they looked on me had never passed away. An orphan's curse would drag to hell a spirit from on high. But oh, more horrible than that is the curse in a dead man's eye. 7 days, 7 nights I saw that curse, and yet I could not die. The moving moon went up the sky and nowhere did abide. Softly she was going up, and a star or two beside. Her beams mimicked the sultry main, like April hoar frost spread. But where the ship's huge shadow lay, the charmed water burnt alway, a still and awful red. Beyond the shadow of the ship I watched the water snakes. They moved in tracks of shining white, and when they read, the elfish light fell off in hoary flakes. Within the shadow of the ship, I watched their rich attire. Blue, glossy green, and velvet black, they coiled and swam, and every track was a flash of golden fire. Oh, happy things! No tongue their beauty might declare. A spring of love gushed from my heart, and I blessed them unaware. Sure, my kind saint took pity on me, and I blessed them unaware. The selfsame moment I could pray, and from my neck so free the albatross fell off and sank like lead into the sea. Part 5. O sleep, it is a gentle thing. Beloved from pole to pole, to Mary Queen the praise be given. She sent the gentle sleep from heaven that slid into my soul. The silly buckets on the deck that had so long remained, I dreamt that they were filled with dew, and when I woke, it rained. My lips were wet, my throat was cold, my garments all were dank. Sure, I had drunken in my dreams, and still my body drank. I moved and could not feel my limbs, I was so light. Almost I thought that I had died in sleep, and was a blessed ghost. And soon I heard a roaring wind. I did not come anear, but with its sound it shook the sails, that was so thin and serene. The upper air burst into life, and 100 fireflags sheen. To and fro they were hurried about, and to and fro and in and out the wan stars danced between. And the coming wind did roar more loud, and the sails did sigh like sedge, and the rain poured down from one black cloud. The moon was at its edge. The thick black cloud was cleft, and still the moon was at its side. Like water shot from some high crag, the lightning fell with never a jag, a river steep and wide. The loud wind never reached the ship, yet now the ship moved on. Beneath the lightning and the moon, the dead man gave a groan. They groaned, they steered, they all uprose. Never, nor spake, nor moved their eyes. It had been strange, even in a dream, to have seen those dead men rise. The helmsman steered, the ship moved on, yet never a breeze up blew. The mariners all gang worked the ropes, where they were wont to do. They raised their limbs like lifeless tools. We were a ghastly crew. The body of my brother's son stood by me, knee to knee. The body and I pulled at one rope, but he said naught to me. I fear the ancient mariner. Be calm, thou wedding guest. It was not those souls that fled in pain, which to their courses came again, but a troop of spirits blessed. For when it dawned, they dropped their arms and clustered round the mast. Sweet sounds rose slowly through their mouths, and from their bodies passed. Around flew each sweet sound, then darted to the sun. Slowly the sounds came back again, now one by one. Sometimes dropping from the sky, I heard the skylark sing. Sometimes all little birds that are, how they seem to fill the sea and air with a sweet jargoning. And now it was like all instruments, now like a lonely flute, and now it is an angel's song that makes the heavens be mute. It ceased, yet still the sails made on, a pleasant noise still known, a noise like of a hidden brook in the leafy month of June, that to the sleeping woods all night singeth a quiet tone. Till noon we quietly sailed on, yet never a breeze did breathe. Slowly and smoothly went the ship, moved onwards from beneath. Under the Nile 9 fathom deep, from the land of mist and snow. The spirit slid, and it was he that made the ship to go. The sails at noon left off their tune, and the ship stood still also. The sun right up above the mast had fixed her to the ocean. But in a minute she gangsteered with a short, uneasy motion. Backwards and forwards half her length with a short, uneasy motion. Then, like a pawing horse let go, she made a sudden bound. It flung the blood into my head, and I fell down in a swoon. How long in that same fit I lay, I have not to declare. But ere my living life returned, I heard, and in my soul discerned, two voices in the air. Is it he, quoth one, is this the man? By him who died on cross, with his cruel bow he laid full low the harmless albatross. The spirit who biddeth by himself in the land of mist and snow, he loved the bird that loved the man who shot him with his bow. The other was softer voice, as soft as honey dew. Quoth he, the man hath penance done, and penance more will do. Part 6. First voice. But tell me, speak again, thy soft response renewing. What makes that ship drive on so fast? What is the ocean doing? Second voice. Still as a slave before his lord, the ocean hath no blast. His great bright eye most silently up to the moon is cast. If he may know which way to go, for she guides him smooth or grim. See, brother, see, how graciously she looketh down on him. First voice. But why drives on that ship so fast without or wave or wind? Second voice. The air is cut away from and closes from behind. Fly, brother, fly, more high, or we shall be belated. For slow and slow that ship will go, when the mariner's trance is abated. I woke, and we were sailing on as in a gentle weather. It was night, calm night. The moon was the dead man stood near. All stood together on the deck, for a charnel dungeon fitter. All fixed on me their stony eyes, that in the moon did glitter. The pang, the curse with which they died, had never passed away. He could not draw my eyes from theirs, nor turn them up to prayer. And now the spell was snapped. Once more I viewed the ocean green, and looked far forth, yet little saw of what had else been seen. Like one that on a lonesome road doth walk in fear and dread, and having once turned round walks on, and turns no more his head, because he knows a frightful fiend doth close behind him tread. But soon they breathed a wind on me, nor sound nor motion made. Its path was not upon the sea, in ripple or in shade. It raised my hair, it fanned my cheek, like a meadow gale of spring. It mingled strangely with my fears, yet it felt like a welcoming. Swiftly, swiftly flew the ship, yet she sailed softly too. Sweetly, sweetly blew the breeze, on me alone it blew. Oh, dream of joy! Is this indeed the lighthouse top I see? Is this the hill? Is this the kirk? Is this mine own country? We drifted over the harbour bar, and I with sobs did pray, oh, let me be awake, my God, or let me sleep alway. The harbour bay was clear as glass, so smoothly it was strewn, and on the bay the moonlight lay and the shadow of the moon. The rock shone bright, the kirk no less, that stood above the rock. The moonlight stepped in silentness, a steady weathercock, and the bay was white with silent light till rising for the same, full many shapes that shadows way in crimson colours came. A little distance from the prow, those crimson shadows were. I turned my eyes upon the deck. O Christ, what saw I there? Each corse lay flat, lifeless and flat, and by the holy rod a man all light, a seraph man. Oh, each crow, on every corse they stood. This seraph band, each waved his hand, it was a heavenly sight. They stood as signals to the land, each one a lovely light. This seraph band, each waved his hand, no voice did they impart. No voice, but oh, the silence sank like music on my heart. But soon I heard the dash of oars. I heard the pilot's cheer. My head was turned perforce away, and I saw a boat appear. The pilot and the pilot's boy, I heard them coming fast. Dear Lord in heaven, it was a joy the dead men could not blast. I saw a third, I heard his voice, it is the hermit good. He singeth loud his godly hymns that he makes in the wood. He'll shrive my soul, he'll wash away the albatross blood. Part 7. This hermit good lives in that wood which slopes down to the sea. How loudly his sweet voice he rears! He loves to talk with mariners that come from a far country. He kneels at morn and noon and eve. He hath the cushion plumb. It is the moss that wholly hides the rotted old oak stump. The skiff boat neared, I heard them talk. Why, this is strange, I trow. Where are those lights, so many and fair, that signal made but now? Strange, by my faith, the hermit said, and they answered not our cheer. The planks looked warped, and see those sails, how thin they are and sere. I never saw aught like to them, unless perchance it were brown skeletons of leaves that lag. My forest brook along, when the ivy tod is heavy with snow, and the owlet swoop to the wolf below, that eats the she-wolf's young. Dear Lord, it hath a fiendish look. The pilot made reply, I am feared. Push on, said the hermit cheerily. The boat came closer to the ship, but I nor spak nor steered. The boat came close beneath the ship, and straight a sound was heard. Under the water it rumbled on, still louder and more dread. It reached the ship, it split the bay, the ship went down like lead. Stunned by that loud and dreadful sound, which sky and ocean smote, like one that hath been 7 days drowned, my body lay afloat, but swift as dreams myself I found within the pilot's boat. Upon the whirlway sank the ship, the boat spun round and round, and all was still save that the hill was telling the sound. I moved my lips, the pilot shrieked and fell down in a fit. The holy hermit raised his eyes and prayed where he did sit. I took the oath, the pilot's boy, who now doth crazy go, laughed loud and long, and all the while his eyes went to and fro. Ha ha, quoth he, full plain I see, the devil knows how to row. And now, all in my own country, I stood on the firm land. The hermit stepped forth from the boat, and scarcely he could stand. Oh, shrive me, holy man. The holy man crossed his brow. Say quick, quoth he, I bid thee say, what manner of man art thou? Forthwith this frame of mine was wrenched with a woeful agony, which forced me to begin my tale, and then it left me free. Since then, at uncertain hour, that agony returns, and till my ghastly tale is told, this heart within me burns. I pass like night from land to land. I have strange power of speech. That moment that his face I see, I know the man that must hear me. To him my tale I teach. What loud uproar burst from the door? The wedding guests are there. But in the garden bower, the bride and the bridesmaids singing are. And hark, the little vesper bell, which biddeth me to pray. O wedding guest, this soul hath been alone on a wide, wide sea. So lonely it was that God himself scarce seemed there to be. O sweeter than the marriage feast, it is sweeter far to me, to walk together to the kirk with the goodly company, to walk together to the kirk and all together pray, while each to his great Father bends, old men and babes and loving friends, and youths and maidens gay. Farewell, farewell, but this I tell to thee, thou wedding guest, he prayeth well who loveth well, both man and bird and beast. He prayeth best who loveth best all things both great and small. For the dear God who loveth us, he made and loveth all. The mariner whose eye is bright, whose beard with age is hoar, is gone. And now the wedding guest turned from the bridegroom's door. He went like one that hath been stunned and is of sense forlorn. A sadder and a wiser man, he rose the morrow morn. And here ends the poem. If you have anything more to add on to what I've said, please write it in the comment box. Like the video, share it with your friends, and if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe and support. Thank you.